All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name's Nicole, and welcome back to our English class. Today, we will be focusing on a crucial but often overlooked skill in IELTS preparation. As you can see on the screen, we will be focusing on academic writing phrases for IELTS. So, yesterday, in the previous session, we focused on academic writing vocabulary for IELTS. Today, we are going to tap on the academic writing phrases. All right. So here, okay, for a moment. Again. Now in IELTS, especially at band 7 and above, clarity, coherence, and appropriate academic tone all play a role in how your communication is assessed. So you may already know how to write these phrases, but if you use them in your speaking test or in an academic discussion and they are mispronounced, the impact can be lost. So in this session, we are going to identify high utility academic phrases which is used in IELTS writing and speaking. We also analyze their rhythm, overall pronunciation features, try to practice them saying more fluently so you can use them naturally under any context, especially academic ones. We will also touch on different features and pronunciation that I've mentioned. It could be on connected speeches. We will be talking about that, intonation, all those things, which help these phrases sound more fluent and professional when spoken. So as always, feel free to ask questions or type your practice responses in the chat. Let's treat this as a pronunciation lab. Don't be afraid to experiment, to repeat, and fine tune all those practices. The goal here is not just to speak correctly, but also to speak academically and clearly. All right, let's dive in with our first set of phrases, which is on expressing opinions and claims. Now, in academic writing, it's not enough to just present information. You often need to express your own opinion, to make an argument, or to present a claim that you will then support with evidence, of course. However, unlike everyday conversation, academic writing, it requires specific formal and objective language to do this effectively. So the phrases that we will look at today, you can see on your screen, are powerful tools, powerful phrases that allow you to introduce your viewpoints or the viewpoints of others in a sophisticated and convincing way, while also indicating the strength or commonality of those ideas. So mastering these phrases will significantly enhance your ability to write persuasive and well-argued essays, especially for tasks like the IELTS writing task. So let's dive into our first set of phrases here. Starting with the first phrase one is, it is widely acknowledged that. Again, it is widely acknowledged that, meaning most people agree that. And then you continue it because this phrase is, it cannot stand on its own. It needs additional information for it to make sense. Okay? So here, it is widely acknowledged that. That's our first phrase. This is a very useful phrase when you want to introduce a point or a fact that is generally accepted or kind of recognized by a large number of people, particularly experts or within a specific field. So it suggests that this idea is not just your personal opinion, but something that many reputable sources or common understanding support. So it helps to establish common ground before you introduce your own specific argument or a more controversial point, maybe. So you try to use this phrase when You want to state a commonly accepted fact or a widely belief, which is often at the beginning of a sentence or paragraph. You try to use that phrase in the beginning of the paragraph, usually. Like, for example, a sample sentence would be, it is widely acknowledged that climate change poses a significant threat to the planet. That's a widely held belief, right? So, as you can, notice on my sentence and my provided sentence, the phrase is at the beginning of the sentence. It is widely acknowledged that. And then I added it with the information that is widely accepted. Okay? So when it comes to the tone, when we try to say this phrase, of course, usually it is formal, it is objective, and maybe authoritative. It indicates a consensus and lends a credibility to the statement that follows because many people agree to that. So when it comes to pronunciation wise, let me just um show you how it is. It looks like in an IPA transcription. So IPA stands for International Phonetic Alphabet. So that is just how we, oh my god. All right. So this is how it looks like. That's the IPA. For a moment. That's the IPA transcription for this phrase. So it is more of like a guide, pronunciation guide on how we can properly say the phrase. So as you can see, we say it as, it is widely, let me highlight it for you. It is widely acknowledged that. So this last phrase is that. This last word is that. Now we try to break it down, but before that, the stressed syllables here would be widely and acknowledged. The first syllable of those words, which are a Y in widely and ak in acknowledged. So those are the stressed syllables here. While the others that were not mentioned, it is and that, those words are less stressed. We try to break it down, starting with it is. So here, we try to say these words quickly. They are almost blended. And in is, it just remains how it looks like. While in is, it will sound like is. So there is a buzzing sound here, as you can see on the IP transcription. There's a letter Z sound, so we try to follow that sound. So the sound that letter Z makes is a buzzing sound. So instead of a hissing sound, because that's what the spelling looks like, the spelling is letter S, right? And it is. But in pronunciation, we say it as it is with the buzzing sound. So it's a voiced sound. Okay? It is. Again, it is. So here, I've mentioned earlier that these two words are almost blended. That's an example of connected speech where two or more words, they almost sound like one word because we try to say them as fast as we can, or maybe we just naturally blend them so that it will be much easier for us to say them in a conversation. And this is an example of that. It is. We usually do not really separately or individually say the sounds of these words. We try to blend them. It is not really that separated. It is. So that's how we try to say these words. It is. The E here in both it and is are short E sound, so it's more a relaxed sound. So yeah, it's buzzing sound. It ends with a buzzing sound, is. Now, a buzzing sound is a voiced sound. Now, how we can identify if a sound is a voiced sound? We try to touch our neck. And if we try to say, so try to touch your neck, and if you say the sound of a particular letter, and if your throat vibrates, then it's a voiced sound. If it does not, of course, it's a voiceless sound. We try to say or pronounce the letter Z. Z. It's a buzzing sound, right? So Z, Z. Okay, it vibrated. Of course, it should be vibrating. Now, again, if it vibrates, then that's a voiced sound. Compared to the letter S sound or the hissing sound, S, S, there's no vibrations at all, which means that the hissing sound or letter S sound is a voiceless consonant sound. Okay, so that's the first two words for the phrase. We move on to the next word, which is widely. Here again, I've mentioned earlier that the first syllable, Y, is a stressed syllable. Okay, so there's two syllables all in all for this word, wide and ly. Again, wide and ly. So wide, it has a diphthong sound. This one. I'm going to highlight it for you, that one, diphthong sound. Again, what's a diphthong sound? Now, a diphthong sound is when a vowel sound smoothly glides to another vowel sound. Basically, in simple terms, vowel sound plus vowel sound, we will get a diphthong sound. So here I've highlighted the diphthong sound in the first syllable, wide. So the diphthong sound is I in wide. Okay? And then it is followed by ly, which has short E sound. Ly. Again, ly. It starts with the letter L sound. How you can make the letter L sound? You just put your tongue, the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth, right just behind your teeth, and then use your vocal cords. Ly. Ly. E. It's like you're saying E, but your tongue is on the roof of your mouth, just behind your teeth. E, li. E, li. Okay? So when we try to combine those two syllables for this word, we get widely. Again, widely. Next to that is acknowledged. Acknowledged. Okay? Acknowledged. It starts with ak, which is the stressed syllable again, and it has a short a vowel sound, followed by na, which also has a short a vowel sound, and it ends with lidged. Lidged. Okay? Lidged. So here, there's a silent E. As you can see in the spelling, there's a silent E sound here. We do not say lidged, acknowledged. We do not say that. Instead, we say acknowledged. So there's it's just, how we say the ed suffix here, because this is a past tense. So the ed suffix, there are actually three versions of how you can say the ed suffix, or how you can pronounce the ed suffix, and one of which is the T sound, which is what is pronounced here, acknowledged. There's three versions. One of that is the letter T. Second is letter D sound, and the id sound, like in ended, needed, something like that. So there's three versions of the suffix ed sound, one of which is the letter T sound, and this is what is pronounced in the word acknowledged. Okay? And lastly, we have that. So here, it uses the voiced TH sound. So there's two versions of TH sound, voiced and voiceless. Now, voiced TH sound, it's that. And again, how you can identify a voiced sound, just touch your neck and say the sound. If it vibrates, then go. That's a voiced sound. If it does not, of course, that's a voiceless sound. Now, we try to say that. Say the sound of this one. Okay, it's vibrating, of course. That means it's a voice TH sound. Now, a voice TH sound will look like this in the IPA transcription. Again, that's the voice TH sound. That's how we try to, that's the symbol of, that's the IPA symbol for the voice TH sound. There's also an IPA symbol for the soft or the voiceless TH sound, but we will gonna be talking about that when we encounter that on the next few phrases. Okay? All right. We try to put it together. We get it is widely acknowledged that. Again, it is widely acknowledged that. Okay. Again, the meaning here is most people agree that. Phrase 2. There is a growing body of evidence, meaning more research is supporting this idea. Now, here, our next phrase, there is a growing body of evidence. This is a very academic way to indicate that an idea or theory is becoming increasingly supported by research, by studies, or data. When you use growing body of evidence, that particular phrase, you are suggesting that while the idea might not be universally accepted yet, the amount and strength of the supporting information are increasing over time. So it's often used when presenting new or evolving research findings. So you try to use this phrase to introduce a claim that is gaining more support through ongoing research. Okay? So this is there is a growing body of evidence. Okay? All right. When it comes to pronunciation, the stressed syllables here are found in growing, body, and evidence, those content words. Okay? And the stressed syllable would be on the first syllables of those words. In growing, we get grow, that's the stressed syllable. In body, ba, and in evidence, ev. Again, ev. Okay. We try to break it down. I think I'm just gonna focus on most important parts, in when it comes to pronunciation because our time is really limited. So I'm gonna focus mostly on the content words because some phrases here, as in not some phrases, but some words like there is of those are what we call function words, which is often it's recurring. It's often found in almost all phrases that we will be talking right now. Unlike the content words, which is growing, body, evidence, they are not usually commonly found in all phrases because these are content words. They can stand on its own, unlike there, is, and of. Okay? So we're just gonna focus more on the content words, which in here we have maybe I can go over just a quick on the function words like in there is same as with it is we use a buzzing sound here for is. So the IP transcription would look like this. Let me paste that for you. Okay, so that's how it would look like. There is. Now, there is a. Well, a is very simple pronunciation. So we'll look into growing. Growing has two syllables, grow and ing. So we start with grow, which is the stressed syllable. Grow, sorry. Grow is using a short O sound. Now, O is a diphthong sound. This one. Yeah. Okay, that one is a diphthong sound. So in grow, we get a diphthong sound O, and it starts with a consonant cluster, meaning there's two or more consonants that are clustered together, and that you say it more of like a one consonant sound. It's blended basically. So there's a consonant blend here. The consonant letters that are blended are G and R. Okay, G and R. So you try to say the specific sounds of these letters and blend them together to get a more unified and cohesive consonant sound, consonant cluster sound. Okay, so that's for the first syllable. And then the second syllable is ing, which uses a short E sound, and then it ends with a nasal sound, ng, which is, we pronounce it as mm. So that's an example of a nasal consonant nasal sound. So in the English phonetic alphabet, there's only three nasal sounds that we have. First is, of course, the ng sound, and then m sound, and the n sound. So those three sounds are the only nasal sounds that we get in the English phonetic alphabet. Now, more, deep talk about this will be found on, what do you call that? It will be found on our classes on our next sessions on pronunciation classes. So let's just, that's just, a snippet. It's just a peek of what we are going to focus on maybe later sessions, because we'll be focusing, or we will be tackling more deeply on the pronunciation. Okay, so here next to that is body. Now it's very simple. First syllable is ba, which is a stressed syllable. It uses a short sound. And then D, it uses a short E vowel sound. So body. Again, body. And then evidence, starting with ev, the stressed syllable, which has a short E sound. And then followed by a short E sound. And lastly, dense, which just also has a short E sound. And it ends with a hissing sound here. So we get evidence. All in all, we try to put them together. We get there is a growing body of evidence. Again, there is a growing body of evidence. Next phrase is the data clearly indicate that. Again, the data clearly indicate that. This means the numbers strongly shows this. So this is a very strong and direct phrase used to introduce a conclusion or finding that is directly supported by specific factual information or numbers. So when you use the data clearly indicate, you're emphasizing that your claim is not based on opinion or assumption, but on concrete, measurable information. So it signals that what follows is an undeniable conclusion drawn from evidence, often from research or statistics. So you try to use this phrase to present a conclusion or finding based on statistical or numerical evidence. So it's a highly objective, information that you will be providing. When it comes to pronunciation, the content words here are data, clearly, and indicate. First syllables of those words are the stressed syllable. Now, in data, now there's two pronunciations of data. We get data and data. Those two pronunciations are all acceptable, okay? They are valid. We're going to focus on data. In data, because that's what is, oh, wait. I've not put the end of it. Let me put the, what do you call that? The IPA. That's the first IPA, or it could be this one, data. Okay? So in data, there's a clear diphthong sound here, A. So A is a diphthong sound. So that's a clear diphthong sound. Data. I mean in day. That's the first syllable. Day. A, day. And then ta, which has a short vowel sound. In clearly, we have clear, the first syllable, and stressed syllable. We get clear. We get a long E vowel sound. Okay? Clearly. Again, clearly. The data clearly. And then it ends with li, which has a short E sound. For indicate, there's three distinct sounds that is produced here, starting with in, with a short E sound, D, which also has a short E sound, and then Kate, which has a diphthong sound A, just like in data. I mean in day. So Kate has a diphthong sound A. So yeah, that's how we need to say this word. All in all, the phrase is the data clearly indicate that. Again, the data clearly indicate that. For a moment, let me adjust the table because, okay. All right. Or maybe I'm just gonna, delete some IP transcriptions here because as you can, as you can see, the table is stretched. Okay. All right. We shall move on to the next phrase, which is it is important to note that. Again, it is important to note that. So here, meaning we should remember this point. Now, this phrase, it is used to draw the reader's attention to a specific piece of information, maybe a fact or a qualification that is crucial for understanding your argument. So basically, it acts as signpost telling the reader that you pay close attention here. This point is really significant. So you try to say that to the listeners. You use it when you want to emphasize a particular detail that might otherwise be overlooked. So it is important to note that. Pronunciation wise, um, let's focus on important and note. The IP transcription would be like this. Now, in important, the stressed syllable is im, which has a short e vowel sound, and followed by a nasal sound, m sound. Then next to that is por, short o sound, and then tant, which has a short a vowel sound. Okay? It starts with a letter T sound, it ends with a letter T sound. So important. Again, important. The note, it has only one syllable, so we stressed that the word itself. In note, we have a diphthong sound O, and it ends with a letter T sound, so which means here that the letter E in the spelling is a silent letter. We do not say note, but we say note. Okay? Not note, we say note. So there's a silent letter E here. So the phrase again is, it is important to note that. Again, it is important to note that. Next to this is a commonly held belief is that, again, a commonly held belief is that. This means many people believe this. Okay. So the phrase here, it is used to introduce an idea, same as the first phrase that we've talked about earlier. We can also introduce an opinion here, or maybe an assumption that is widespread among the general public or within a particular group. So it is similar to it is widely acknowledged that, but commonly held belief can sometimes refer to ideas that are more general or perhaps even unsubstantiated by rigorous academic evidence. So you use it to acknowledge maybe just a popular viewpoint, which you might then go on to support, to challenge, or maybe discuss in more detail, depending on how you want to, take it. So you try to use this phrase to introduce a popular or widespread opinion, which may or may not be factually correct. That is a commonly held belief, is that. So when it comes to pronunciation, commonly and belief are the content words here. Commonly, first syllable com is the stressed syllable, which has a short o sound. And then followed by mon, which has a strong, not strong, but what do you call this? A relaxed vowel sound, mon. So you can identify if it's relaxed because it, in the IP transcription, there's the vowel sound will look like a schwa sound, the symbol for schwa sound, which is the upside down E. When we say that vowel sound is a schwa sound, it is weak. It is a weak and stressed vowel sound. Here, it is a weak and stressed O sound. Okay? And then lastly, we have the third distinct sound for commonly, which is li, which has a short E sound. We've already talked about this many times earlier. So this is commonly. And belief, there's two distinct syllables here, starting with B, which has also a, not also, but it has still a relaxed vowel sound. And then leaf, which has a long E sound. Now, just, a quick tip to be familiar with IP transcription. When we try to look into if the vowel sound is a long vowel sound, in the IP transcription, the vowel itself will be, paired with a colon symbol. So if the vowel in the IP transcription has a colon beside it, then most likely that's a long vowel sound. Here, the E sound is paired with the colon, so this is a long E sound. Okay? So in leaf, there's a long E sound there. So belief. All in all, the phrase is a commonly held belief is that. Again, a commonly held belief is that. And lastly, we have the prevailing view is that. Now, this means the main opinion is. So this phrase, it is used to introduce the most current, the most dominant or widespread opinion or perspective on a particular topic that you are talking or you are focusing. So the topic that might be within a specific community, especially in academic or expert circles. So it suggests that while there might be other viewpoints, this particular one here is currently the most widely accepted or influential. So it implies a consensus among experts or the leading opinion in a field. So you try to use this phrase, the prevailing view is that, to state the dominant or most widely accepted opinion or theory in a particular field or discussion. Okay? All right. When it comes to pronunciation, prevailing and view are the content words here. We start with prevailing. It starts with pre. There's three distinct sounds here. First is pre, which has a short e sound. Pre. It starts with a consonant cluster of the consonant sounds P and R that are blended and then paired with a short e vowel sound. Next to that is veil, which has a diphthong sound. The diphthong sound is A. So A in veil. Next to that is ing. We're familiar with this. A short E vowel sound paired with a nasal sound, NG. NG sound. So this is prevailing. The stressed syllable here is the second syllable, veil. So we say it as prevailing. Next to that is view, which is only one syllable. So view itself is stressed here. So view, it's very simple. We just say it like, it has a short, not short, but a long O sound here, which is view. No, not a long O sound, but a short O sound. Now, look at the IP transcription. You might get confused why there's a letter J there, no, in the IP transcription, but that's just how, or that's just the symbol of that's just the IPA symbol of the letter Y sound. So don't be confused. That's not the spelling of the word, but that's the IPA transcript. That's the IPA symbol of letter Y sound. So that for you just to not to be confused, because you might pronounce it as viju, which is of course not correct. That's view. The letter J symbol, again, the letter J in the IPA is the symbol for letter Y sound. Okay? So that's just, just a tip for you to not be confused if you try to really read IPA transcriptions of a word or a phrase. Again, that's view. All in all, the phrase is the prevailing view is that. Again, the prevailing view is that, which means the main opinion is. So those are the first set of phrases, which is under expressing opinions and claims. So we've really took up a lot of time to this one because this is a phrase. Of course, phrases would take much more time compared to vocabulary, which is only one or two, three more words. Here it is a whole phrase. And we try, it's much more specific, the phrases are much more specific in context compared to vocabulary or the terms. So we try to really understand them very well so that we cannot really, so there's no room for any mistakes or any errors when using them or when speaking them also. So before we proceed with the next set of words, of course, we try to practice what we've discussed so far. So it's time to practice. Let's have a practice drill. What I am asking you to do here is very simple. We're just going to read the sentence with the with the phrases that we've discussed earlier. The highlighted one in red are the phrases that are provided earlier. So we're just gonna read the phrases, not the phrases, we're just gonna read the whole sentence twice. So read the whole sentence with me. So you read it with me in your own comfortable spaces there. Okay? All right. Let's start with the first one, of course. It is widely acknowledged that climate change poses a global threat. It is widely acknowledged that climate change poses a global threat. There is a growing body of evidence supporting the benefits of bilingual education. There is a growing body of evidence supporting the benefits of bilingual education. The data clearly indicate that urbanization affects biodiversity. The data clearly indicate that urbanization affects biodiversity. It is it is important to note that this study was conducted over 10 years. It is important to note that this study was conducted over 10 years. A commonly held belief is that exams measure intelligence. A commonly held belief is that exams measure intelligence. The prevailing view is that early education shapes lifelong learning. The prevailing view is that early education shapes lifelong learning. Okay, and that's the last phrase. As you can see on the screen, we're going to move on to the next set of phrases, which will be on cause and effect. Cause and effect. So the following phrases are under cause and effect. Now, we discuss cause and effect in academic writing. When we discuss about that, we are talking about the fundamental relationships between events, maybe between actions and their outcomes. So it's about explaining why something happens, which is, of course, the cause, and what happens as a result, which is the effect. So being able to clearly articulate these relationships is essential for building logical arguments, like explaining phenomena or maybe demonstrating critical thinking in your essays and reports. So the phrases we will cover today are powerful tools that allow you to express these causal links with precision and formality, which is of course crucial for achieving a high score in academic tests like IELTS. Let's dive into the first phrase. This leads to a situation where. Again, this leads to a situation where, meaning this causes something to happen. Again, this causes something to happen. So this is a very common and versatile way to introduce the result or consequence of a previous action, a previous event, or maybe a condition. So it shows a direct causal link, which indicates that the preceding, the information before, preceding information results in a particular state or outcome. So it is often used when describing a process, maybe a chain of events, or the implications of a certain development, all in all. So you try to use this phrase to explain the direct outcome or consequence of a preceding statement. Okay? So when it comes to pronunciation, this is its IPA. Oh my god. Okay. Oh, oh, okay. All right. So that's the iPage transcription for that, for this phrase. So here the content words would be leads, situation, and where. So when it comes to leads, there's only one syllable here. So the word itself will be stressed. So leads. There's a long E vowel sound here, and it ends with a buzzing sound, although very subtle, but still a buzzing sound. Leads. Again, leads. Leads. Next to that is situation. Situation. There's 4 distinct sounds here, starting with sit, which has a short E sound. Then U. The U itself is, it's a short U vowel sound. And then A, which is a diphthong in itself. And lastly, shon. So when we see a spelling that has a T-I-O-N on it, it is most likely pronounced as shon. Again, shon. All in all, we say the phrase as, this leads to a situation where. This leads to a situation where. Phrase number 2, as a consequence of. Again, as a consequence of, meaning because of that. Here, it is a highly formal and clear way to introduce the effect or maybe the result that directly follows from a stated cause. So it emphasizes the direct relationship between an action or event and its subsequent outcome, of course. So it's often used when discussing the ramifications or maybe the effects of a particular cause. So it's very similar to the phrases like because of or but significantly more academic. So it's just similar to because of, but it's just it's highly formal as a consequence of. So you try to use this phrase to clearly state the reason or the cause behind a specific outcome. So this phrase, of course, it often precedes the cause. Okay. When it comes to pronunciation, I will put its IPA transcription for a sec. That one. Okay. Consequence is the only content word here. We'll focus on that. First is con. There's 3 distinct sounds, starting with con, which has a short o sound. Then se, conse. Se, which has which has a schwa sound, weak, unstressed e sound here. And lastly, we have quens. Again, quens. So the letter Q, it creates a consonant cluster sound of K and W. So K and W here, it represents the sound that letter Q makes. And then it uses a schwa sound here. So the E sound here is weak and unstressed. Okay? So all in all, this is the as a consequence of. Again, as a consequence of. Next to that is this can be attributed to. Again, this can be attributed to, meaning this was caused by. So this phrase is used when you want to state that a particular effect or outcome is believed to be caused by a specific factor or source. So it means you're giving credit or assigning responsibility for the result to a particular cause. So it's especially useful when discussing the underlying reasons for a phenomenon or when a direct cause and effect isn't absolutely certain. So, but rather an attribution is just, being made. So you try to use this phrase to explain the cause or origin of a particular outcome or phenomenon. So that's how we try to say that. Now look at its IPA transcription. When it comes to pronunciation, the content words here would be, or word, only one word, I guess. Yeah, attributed. So that's the only content word here. The rest are function words. Now, attributed, how do you call that? For a moment. Okay, what happened? Okay, just a glitch. All right. Okay, looking back at the pronunciation, we are focusing on attributed, right? So attributed has 4 distinct sounds. So there's 4 syllables in it. It starts with at, which has a short a sound, like in cut, and then followed by tree, which has a short e sound, and it ends with a short e sound. It starts with a consonant blend of the consonant letters T and R. So you try to blend the sounds T and R make. You get, you do that in this particular syllable, tree. The next to that is bu, which has a long oo sound. Again, long oo sound. Now again, don't get confused with the letter J here. That's the symbol, IPA symbol of the letter Y sound. Okay. That's bu. That's the third distinct sound. And lastly, we have tid. Again, tid, which has a short E vowel sound. So this can be attributed to. Again, this can be attributed to. The stressed syllable is the first syllable of attributed, which is at. This can be attributed to. Phrase number 4, due to a variety of factors. So, meaning caused by many things. Now, this is incredibly useful when an outcome or situation is not caused by just one thing, but by several different elements working together. So it signals that you recognize the complexity of the cause and effect relationship here. So you acknowledge that multiple influences are at play. So it prevents oversimplification and shows a nuanced understanding. You try to use this phrase when an event or outcome has multiple contributing causes. Okay? When it comes to pronunciation, let me just copy and paste the phrase and the IP transcription due to a variety of factors. Again, due to a variety of factors. And the content words here are variety and factors. Let's start with variety. Variety, there's 3 distinct sounds. Here, as you can notice, so there's 3 distinct sounds that are produced, starting with V, again, V, which has a schwa sound. So the A vowel sound here is weak and unstressed. So V, V, it's not Va, but V, V, V. It's like a sound, V. And then followed by Rai, which has a clear diphthong sound, a clear I diphthong sound. Rai. Next to that is a schwa sound in itself, variety, which is a sound. Again, a sound. Lastly, we have T, variety. T with a short E vowel sound. All in all, this is variety. The stressed syllable is Rai. Variety. Next content word is factors. Factors. Again, factors. The first syllable, fac, is the stressed syllable here. So, factors. Let's start with the first syllable, fac, which has a short A vowel sound. Next to that is tors. Again, tors. So, there's a buzzing sound at the end. So, it starts with a letter T sound, of course, and then followed by a short O sound. Tors. Again, tors. So that's the sounds that this particular word, particular word makes. So let me just delete some IP transcriptions quickly because the table is already stressed too much. So that is due to a variety of factors. Next phrase is this results in significant change. Again, this results in significant change. Now, meaning here is it causes a big difference. So it is a direct and strong way to express that a particular particular action or event, it leads to a noticeable and important alteration. No, there's really a difference. So the word significant here, it emphasizes that the change is not minor or it is not trivial, but rather substantial and impactful. It is often used when describing consequences that have a clear, measurable effect. So you try to use this phrase when you want to highlight a substantial outcome or transformation caused by something. Okay? So when it comes to pronunciation wise, this results in significant change. So pronunciation wise, there's three results. Yeah, 3 content words here: result, significant, and change. So let's start with results, which has 2 syllables. Starting with re, again, re, re, which has a short E sound, and then okay. So it uses a buzzing sound here. So it is results. Again, results. So the second syllable, it starts with a buzzing sound. Results. Again, results. So this is results. Next content word is significant. Significant. There's 4 distinct sounds that is made here. significant. It starts with sig, which is its, stressed syllable in the word. So sig has a short E sound, followed by nif, which has also a short E sound. And then third distinct sound is the E itself, short E sound. And lastly, kant, which has a short A vowel sound and ends with, of course, a letter T sound. So this is significant. Stress syllable is the first syllable, significant. And lastly, we have change, which is one syllable only. So there's only one syllable in change. So it starts with the sound that ch makes. So the sound that ch makes is ch. Again, ch. So that's the sound that ch makes. So in the IPA transcription, the IPA symbol for that is this one, T and F. Again, T and F, not totally F, because there's no, how do you call that? There's no line in the middle, of course. So that's but that's the symbol of the IP. That's the IP symbol of the CH sound. Okay. Um, that's change, and as you can see on the IP transcription here, it is then followed by a diphthong, a clear diphthong sound. The diphthong sound here is A. Again, A. So that is change. Again, change. Now it ends with j sound. J, change. Yeah, j sound. Again, j sound. J, 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 j. So this is a voiced sound because my throat vibrated when I tried to pronounce the sound of it. So that's change. So all in all, the phrase is, this results in a significant change. Again, this results in a significant change. And lastly, we have one possible explanation is that, so meaning here is one possible reason is, then you state that particular reason. So this is usually utilized when discussing a phenomenon or outcome, but you are not entirely sure of the definitive cause. So you're not sure also when there might be a multiple um, potential causes. So it allows you to offer a hypothesis or a possible reason without stating it as an absolute fact. Okay? It shows critical thinking and an awareness that complex issues have various interpretations or potential underlying causes. So you try to use this phrase when proposing a potential reason or maybe a theory for an event or observation, especially when certainty is not absolute. Okay? Here, the content words are possible and explanation. Starting with possible, which has three distinct sounds, starting with pa, with a short vowel sound, si, short e sound with a hissing sound in the beginning, and bol, again, bol, which has a schwa sound. So there's a short, relaxed, weak, and stressed o sound here. Bol. It ends with letter L sound. So this is possible. Again, possible. There's possible. Yeah, three distinct sounds. Next to that is explanation, which has four syllables, starting with X. X. It has a short E vowel sound at the beginning. X. Again, X. E. It is then followed by the sounds that consonant letters K and S makes. So it ends with a hissing sound. X. The next to that is pl, pl, which has also a schwa sound. So the A sound here is weak and stressed. Next to that is nay, which has a diphthong sound, A. Nay, A. A, nay. And then Tion, remember, Tion is commonly pronounced or mostly pronounced as shun. Again, shun. So this is explanation. Again, explanation. So that is for this one. Explanation. Nay is the stressed syllable here. So all in all, the phrase is one possible explanation is that. Again, possible explanation is that. All right. So again, that's the last phrase for cause and effect. So as you can see on the screen, these are the phrases that we've tackled. This leads to a situation where, as a consequence of, this can be attributed to, due to a variety of factors. This results in a significant change. One possible explanation is that. So those are the phrases for cause and effect. Of course, we do not move on without practicing. So it's time to practice. Same pattern, same pattern, same process. Our practice drill here is just we're gonna read the sentence twice, or maybe once only, because these are simple ones. So the highlighted ones again in the red font color is are the phrases that we've discussed earlier. So let's start right away. This leads to a situation where students cannot afford higher education. As a consequence of rising fuel prices, many families are struggling. This can be attributed to changes in government policy. Due to a variety of factors, job satisfaction is declining. This results in a significant change in consumer behavior. And lastly, one possible explanation is that children are exposed to more screen time. And I think we've hit already the 1 hour mark. So I'm gonna end our today's session for this part. So there's three more, tables, three more sets of phrases for our topic on academic writing for IELTS. So we will be continuing with those three sets of phrases on our next session, which will be next week, next Monday. So that's a wrap up for our session on first half of the session on academic writing phrases for IELTS. So we've covered quite a bit of ground today. Actually, not really that much, but since I really wanted for you to be knowledgeable much on how we try to correctly pronounce these particular phrases, since it's phrases, so it tends to be long when it comes to the discussion. So that's why I just decided to cut it in half. So we've tackled on the first two set of phrases, then we get three set of phrases on the remaining on the next session to end. So we focused here on subtle nuances, on the maybe subtle nuances on the pronunciation, to very visible very visible differences on the pronunciation of the words in the phrases. So I really hope you found these pronunciation tips very helpful. Remember, just knowing these phrases isn't just enough. So being able to pronounce them clearly and confidently is really crucial for both your speaking and listening components, especially in the IELTS exam. And we're talking about IELTS exam. So your ability to articulate these terms will not only impress the examiner, but also make your arguments much more coherent and impactful. I encourage you to actively listen for these phrases in academic context, maybe, whether it's through podcasts, through documentaries, or even news reports, and then try to mimic the pronunciation that they say, that they're trying to provide for that particular word or phrase. So what I'm trying to say here is that there should be consistent practice, not even just for a few minutes each day. That particular practice, it will really be making a huge difference in you. So Since it's already Friday, I wish you all a fantastic and productive weekend. Take some time to review these phrases maybe, if you want. So perhaps you can record yourself saying them just to see your progress and, listen them back. Don't forget to also recharge and enjoy your time off. I'm really looking forward to seeing your progress and continuing our work next time. Have a great weekend, everyone. Goodbye.